Hello and welcome to the Random Wrestling Review. This is our local to global series, and we've got quite a lot of big events coming up in the next couple of episodes because today's episode will be dealing with Big Night Out. I don't imagine we'll get to a second event on this episode. So Big Night Out is the show that we're going to be focusing on. That obviously is going to be headlined by a match between Northwest champion Chris Harris defending against Charlie Haas. Can Charlie Haas become only the second man in company history to hold both the Northwest and the Northwest tag team titles all at the same time? And that is because at Party in the Sun, our last event, Red Alert, Charlie Haas and C.W. Anderson defeated Ace Steel and Barry Buchanan to become the new Northwest Tag Team Champions. We also saw Chemo saying that the agreement that Ace Steel has done with Bruce Hart is too much and that Bruce Hart has taken advantage of the rebellion. We saw Mark Henry and Sean Stasiak have a major row after losing to the Headbangers in the Headbangers' first match in the company. Brock Lesnar got another big victory, or I say big victory, another squash victory really over TJ Wilson. And we also had Buddy Wayne challenge Kidman to a cage match at this very event. So that's another thing that's going to be taking place. Buddy Wayne versus Billy Kidman, along with a number of other quite big matches. So we're looking forward to that. Before we get to it all, though, a little look at the half-year awards, because as you can see, Wrestler of the Half Year was Shawn Michaels. Company of the Year so far is WWF. Team of the Year is Dustin Rhodes and Tony Norris. I can't remember what they're called, but they've got a team name in WWF as well. Match of the Year so far was Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart and Owen Hart in a triple threat match at WrestleMania 17. Yes, that was the main event of WrestleMania 17 in this reality. Show of the Year so far was King of the Ring 2001, which we actually covered at the end of the last episode, if you want to have a look at that. Young Wrestler of the Year, Perro Aguayo Jr. is currently Young Wrestler of the Year. Veteran Wrestler of the Year, Bret Hart. So Bret Hart now, he now qualifies for Veteran Wrestler of the Year, and he wins that one, I think, for the first time. Then we've got Lady Apache as the Female Wrestler of the Year so far. Independent Wrestler of the Year so far, Rocco Rock, who actually worked for us very briefly. So that's interesting, him getting that victory. I mean, we won, what was it, Most Improved Company of the Year last year. So a couple of these sort of awards coming our way, or coming towards us, or into our realm a little bit, which is kind of cool, I suppose. So yeah, we're into July 2001. Financially, we are pretty damn good right now. We've made nearly $8,000 of profit in the last 2 months. That's including the fact that we did a free show last month as well. So we've come out of that period very, very well indeed. So it's on to the next, and that is RWR's Big Night Out 2, the second time this annual event has come around. And I think we need to get straight into it. Before we do that, I am going to have a look. There was one wrestler on this roster that I need to change, but I can't. Yeah, there's one wrestler I need to change their gimmick, that's right. So he's got a great gimmick, but he just needs it to be tweaked because it was getting a little stale. So let's move on to the next player-controlled show, July 2001. I had a look back at the first episode of this series the other day, and it was very interesting how different the series is and how so simple it was back then at the start, and to see what it's kind of evolved into with all these different stories and our ranking system, and the different tournaments and awards that can be won within the company. And the obviously much bigger roster. We started with just 2 wrestlers at that first event. We've now got a roster of 20, and I'm even considering going a little bit higher than that, because I've noticed through a lack of foresight and a bit of ignoring calculations that we're actually quite high on baby faces at the moment. I think we've got something like 11 baby faces and 9 heels, which is a little bit imbalanced. And obviously, we've already set a couple of wrestlers to potentially turn babyface in the future too, so that could push that balance even further. Chemo returns from his holiday, which is where he was, because we're trying to keep him happy. But we are ready now for the Big Night Out, and let's go to it, shall we? Because this is a reasonably big show. It obviously is an annual event, which we are now running, headlined by Dave Bautista and Mark Henry last year in the Northwest title match. But this year will be headlined by Chris Harris and Charlie Haas for the Northwest title. Ahead of that, though, we have got quite a lot of other matches. So first of all, C.W. Anderson will take on Rex King. And those eagle-eyed viewers amongst you will have noticed last time that I actually meant Rex King to lose to Teddy Hart, and actually he won. I don't know how that happened. I clearly wasn't paying enough attention. In this one, C.W. Anderson's going to get the victory against Rex King. I think Anderson needs to just get a couple of, or a little bit of a boost, really, because he's now one of the tag team champions. Of course, he's been a tag team champion before, but it just feels like whilst Charlie Haas was injured, we kind of neglected C.W. Anderson a bit. And that's because he's not as high on my priorities as Charlie Haas, as you probably noticed through my booking. But he is a tag team champion, so I think a morale and reputation enhancing victory would do him the world of good. The second match of the night, so we're no angles to start this show either, which has been a bit of a crutch as of late, I've got to be honest. It's Brock Lesnar versus Glenn Ruth. Glenn Ruth, one of the headbangers, of course. This one's going to go 6 minutes. We're still going to give Brock Lesnar the victory. Not an open match, but we'll just give him a decisive win. Not the squash necessarily here, but because I didn't want to completely destroy Glenn Ruth just one show after him entering the company. I think obviously they won their opening match, and we've got the Super Summer Tag Team Extravaganza coming up, so the headbangers are obviously going to play a part in that. And so I didn't want to completely destroy any momentum he had going into that tournament, but that's where we are. And it's not going to get a huge amount better for these guys, as Chaz Warrington is going to face Mark Henry, and Mark Henry's going to get the win in this one. We'll make it 8 minutes, so it's again a little bit less. In fact, we'll make it an open match as well, but Mark Henry will win. Henry's not had a good record as of late, and that's because he and Stasiak have been at odds with one another. And talking of that, Sean Stasiak is going to come out and speak to Mark Henry. In fact, we're going to just give him Mark Henry an overness thing. And basically, Sean Stasiak is going to say that he basically, sorry, Sean Stasiak is going to clears the air with Mark Henry and tells him they will win the Super Summer Tag Team Extravaganza for the second time. They, of course, were the winners of the Super Summer Tag Team Extravaganza last year, and he tells Mark Henry that ahead of that tournament, they're going to go win that again. So this is them clearing the air and potentially, drawing a line under their recent issues so that they can compete well in the Super Summer Tag Team Extravaganza. And this is always this time of year, things start to ramp up in terms of preparing for that tournament. The next match is going to be a bit of a heel versus heel match. One Man Gang will take on Chemo. And this is obviously in response to recent things with Chemo, where he has been outspoken in his dissatisfaction with the agreement between Bruce Hart. I always want to say Bruce Wayne, and then I get all confused. Between Bruce Hart and Ace Steel, the Rebellion leader, who Chemo is obviously a part of. And actually, just to emphasize that, let's take a look at the rankings, because here it is why Charlie Haas is the number one contender to the champion, despite being only third in the rankings. Chris Harris is the champion, of course. Then we have Ace Steel and Barry Buchanan as part of the Rebellion, and the deal they've done with Bruce Hart, they are deferring their title shots until such time as Chris Harris loses the title. And at that point, they will have the chance to instantly challenge whoever becomes the new champion in a kind of Money in the Bank style situation here. Billy Kidman also should have an asterisk against his name because he is part of that agreement as well. Chemo should have been part of that agreement, but he broke ranks with the rest of the Rebellion and went up against Chris Harris back at the Lottery Brawl, and that's why he's down on 0 because he lost that match. So because Steele and Buchanan are deferring their title shots, Charlie Haas is now the number one contender and will face Chris Harris tonight. Underneath all this, got CM Punk on 8 points, Buddy Wayne on 7, Kidman on 5, Batista on 4, Brock Lesnar, TJ Wilson, Mark Henry and Sean Stasiak on 3 points, C.W. Anderson on 2, Glenn Ruth, Chaz Warrington, Phantasma, One Man Gang, Rex King and Teddy Hart on 1 point, and Chemo on 0, as we said earlier on. So, One Man Gang versus Chemo being outspoken, One Man Gang being Bruce Hart's kind of hired gun. And this one will go, I don't want to go too long with this one either. Let's just go 9 minutes with it. And the winner is going to be Chemo when outside interference finish, one man gang. Obviously, Dave Batista comes in and helps, or at least costs one man gang the match. Not that he wants to help Chemo, but that's what happens here. We'll make this an open match as well. So there you go. One man gang. It's too long for one man gang, but I don't care. That's fine. So one man gang will face Chemo in this one, and Chemo will get the win thanks to Dave Batista. In fact, I wasn't going to do an interference on this one. I was going to do a distraction. Finish. So it's going to be one man gang and Dave Batista. Add note. Cool. So that's the next match in place. Now, as I said, people start to prepare themselves for the Super Sober Tag Team Extravaganza around this time. And so it is that CM Punk will team with Phantasma against Ace Steel and Barry Buchanan, an oddball team between Punk and Phantasma, but they are looking to get some experience ahead of entering the Super Summer Tag Team Extravaganza tournament. And I think we're going to have a win for Punk and Phantasma, despite Barry Buchanan and Ace Steel being the well-oiled tag team in this one. We'll make this a storytelling match as well. And I think what we'll do is we'll just have a general unease between Ace Steel and Barry Buchanan. Things are just not right in the Rebellion once again. Same as was the case this time last year. There was problems between all members of the Rebellion this time last year. The whole doing the deal with Bruce Hart has really kind of opened up a lot of those wounds again. And in this case, Steel and Buchanan just are a little bit off in terms of that thing, and they therefore lose this match to CM Punk and Phantasma. Both teams, of course, though, will be in the Super Summer Tag Team Extravaganza. Then it's time for our cage match. Now I'm going to see if this is even possible, because I think probably the level of risk might be too high, which is a concern. Content risk is average. Cage escape. Content risk is average. Just worry about this being overly risky for our fans. We're going to do Cage Classic, I think. I prefer that, where basically it's going to end in between these two in a pinfall or submission rather than someone running out of the cage. These two have got poor chemistry, of course, and we did know that. And this is going to be their final battle with each other. I think we'll make this a slow build. And the winner is going to be Buddy Wayne. Come out of this as the winner of the feud. This was Buddy Wayne's story really for this year, was his battle with his former protege, and he will finish it here in this cage match against Billy Kidman. Just looking at the booking analysis here, we're all fine with that. So we got one more match, and of course it is that Northwest title match. It sees Chris Harris defending against Charlie Haas. This is going to be, I want this to be 15 minutes, but we're not going to go slow build for this one. Open match, I think we'll go with the pinfall finish, and the winner is going to be Chris Harris. Chris Harris is going to retain the Northwest title. Actually, I think in different circumstances, Charlie Haas might have been Northwest champion, not necessarily at this show, but certainly when he got injured towards the end of last year, we had been building him up quite a lot. I'm not saying I had in mind or in plan that he would be the one to beat Dave Batista for the title, but certainly he was entering my head as a serious contender for this. But since his injury, he's come back, and he's not been terrible or anything, but he's just not been at the same level as he was before he went off. And I think the time's not right. I think someday in the future there is a potential Northwest champion in Charlie Haas. I just don't think it's now. I just don't think he's ready for it at this point in time. And of course, he did just win the Northwest tag team titles as well, so it's not like I've given up on him or anything. It's just this felt like it wasn't the time for Charlie Haas to become champion. So let's run this show then. Just take one last look at this. That's all fine. We're not going to be penalised. I was going to review the storylines, and I'm going to remember to do it this time. So Bruce Hart worried about Phantasma. I feel like this is over because he's verified it. to be honest, this was just a germ of an idea, and when I really got down to the nitty gritty, I realised there wasn't really anywhere I could go with it. So that's finishing off. That's obviously finishing today. Punk versus the Rebellion continues because he is against Ace Steel and he's in this feud with him. Keep Chemo in that as well at the moment, though I don't think that's really critical at this point. Batista versus One Man Gang is obviously going on. This is really just a story between Henry and Stasiak now. So I'm tempted to remove everybody else from this because it's really just about Mark Henry and Stasiak. But they may as well all just stay in. It's not like we're doing anything that... Actually, I'm going to take them out because it's starting to be that any time the Red Alert or the Calgary Connection are in a match, that this adds to the storyline, and this is really just about Mark Henry and Shawn Stasiak. So we've limited that down to them and their unhappiness with one another. I'm tempted to take Chemo out of this storyline, but I'll keep him in there for now. I think that's all we've got at the moment in terms of stories, and this is usually what happens, right? We get to the Super Summer Tag Team Extravaganza, and most of the stories have wrapped up, and we're on to something else. And yeah, I feel like that's the right thing. We're on to like we're on to a sort of cold, or not cold, we're on to a soft relaunch or a soft refresh of things after the Super Summer Tag Team Extravaganza. Although saying that, this year we've obviously got RWR 100 straight after the Super Summer Tag Team Extravaganza, so maybe it's after that we see that sort of soft refresh. Anyway, here we go then. Shows going. 196 people in the Marshall Center, the biggest paid attendance in the history of this company. And the match that kicks us off is C.W. Anderson versus Rex King in a 9-minute and 44-second contest, won by Anderson by pinfall. Both were pretty good, I thought, but Anderson was off his game and he still did an in-ring performance of 35, and this got a 41 segment rating to kick us off. A very tidy way to start the show. C.W. Anderson picking up a good victory for him. Then in match 2, Brock Lesnar versus Glenn Ruth. Brock wins in 5:36 by pinfall with an F5, a segment rating of 37, and Brock Lesnar did another 39 in-ring performance. Lesnar just looks the part already, and that's his 4th victory in this company. Glenn Ruth loses his 2nd match in the company at 32, but wasn't completely destroyed as Brock Lesnar has done with his previous opponents. Then it was Chaz Warrington versus Mark Henry in match number 3. A segment rating here of 31. Mark Henry is not performing, or not improving, I should say, at the pace I would like him to improve. I mean, he's not an amazing wrestler in real life, right? But I thought he would improve a bit more than this. It's just not really happening for him at the moment. He wins this by pinfall with a big splash in 8 minutes and 19, and he was up against the weaker of the two headbangers, certainly in terms of the game. The game thinks Thrasher's a better wrestler than Mosh, which I don't really agree with, actually, but that's what the game thinks. And so he did an in-ring performance of 25. 7 rating is not disastrous, but this won't be remembered for very long. Then we have the angle after the match where Shawn Stasiak comes out to confront Mark Henry, but instead he clears the air with Mark Henry, apologises for storming out last month. They need to talk through their issues if they've got any, and he says, look, we need to refocus ourselves, come back as a unit, because we need to go into the Super Summer Tag Team Extravaganza in the best place we can be and win it for the 2nd time in a row. And Stasiak and Henry shake hands, and this is the end of this segment. Stasiak and Henry back on the same page, possibly, who knows. A segment rating here of 36 for these two. So then into One Man Gang versus Chemo, a very good match. Segment rating of 49. Chemo wins in 8:32 by pinfall with a Samoan drop. After Dave Batista comes out and distracts the One Man Gang, allowing Chemo to get the victory here. One Man Gang was visibly tiring toward the end, but despite that, as I said, this was a good segment rating. And Chemo did a 46, and this should make Chemo happier with his booking. He's not been happy with me recently, and we are trying to keep him happy at this juncture. So a win here for Chemo. Nice victory for him. Then the tag team match, CM Punk and Phantasma defeat Ace Steel and Barry Buchanan in 13 minutes and 2 seconds when CM Punk pins Barry Buchanan with a Pepsi plunge. Buchanan and Ace Steel suffer here as they kind of off all the odds at the moment, off I'm trying to say off sorts, but that's not right. But they're just out of sorts is the word is the phrase I'm looking for. Having lost their tag team titles on the previous show, you can see here Punk was 48 in-ring performance, Phantasma 39. That's about where Phantasma is, although that's fine. I mean, when he came in, he was much lower than that, so he's doing fine at the moment. Buchanan 41, Ace Steel at 45. Ace Steel's been really, really good. A segment rating of 49 is a very decent way to have this match go. Pretty good. So it's on to the grudge match in the cage between Buddy Wayne and Billy Kidman. A 43 rating is not bad for two people who've got awkward chemistry. And they both did a 39 each, but the story kind of carried them through here. 14:43, Buddy Wayne gets the win by pinfall. Segment rating of 43. This concludes really the feud between Wayne and Kidman, with Wayne getting the big victory. And so it's on to our main event, the Northwest title match, a 53 rated match. Now that's the Charlie Haas we have liked and seen prior to his injury. This one went 15 minutes and 20 seconds. Chris Harris wins by pinfall, defending for the 6th time that Northwest title. Chris Harris was a 50 rated performance, which is, where he's been. It's why we made him champion. He was always looking good prior to winning the title, and he has continued that through this title reign, although I think this is his best title defense so far. A segment rating of 53, a very good way to finish the show. And that means we had an overall rating of 50 for this one. The main event was sensational. Chemo versus One Man Gang and the tag team match were also really good, 49s across the board there. Buddy Wayne and Billy Kidman did a 43 despite not having any chemistry. The opener was good. The only two matches that perhaps let us down were the two after the opener, but they weren't bad by any stretch. And Brock Lesnar, a 37 in what is his 4th match, I think, not in his career, but like in a company. Only his 4th match in a company. That's pretty good. So we're going to make the speech. I think we're going to first of all compliment Chris Harris I'm going to praise him for a great performance, I think, because he was great. CM Punk complimented. I'm going to give Charlie Haas a compliment because that was the best performance I think we've seen from him since returning from injury. And that's in the books now. Another event, Big Night Out. Let's just have a look at the news story. It will say something reasonably generic here, but it's been awesome. Outshone other big companies' recent efforts. We stay at 25 in terms of our size, but let's just have a look at the top 100, see where that all fits with everything. So Big Night Out is now the 4th best show in company history, and in terms of matches, that 53 rated match was the 9th best match in company history. Chris Harris is painting his name all over this list. Actually, that wasn't his best title defense to date. His best title defense to date came against Teddy Hart at Chaos Theory, but still a very, very good match. Was there anything else from... yes, the 49 rated matches will be down here. 22nd best match in history was that one. And Chemo One Man Gang was the 23rd best match. So, good stuff from those guys. And in terms of titles, well, obviously, Northwest champion now, Chris Harris. Still, I should say, not now. That wasn't his best title defense, but it was the 2nd best title defense, and I think probably the 2nd best title match in history. His 2 title matches against Teddy Hart and Charlie Haas have been the best 2 title matches we've ever had. He also did a 51 against Phantasma as well, and a 50 against Batista in the first place to win the title. So that's 4 50 plus matches that he's done as part of this title run. So that's very, very nice indeed. And we didn't look at this last time. New champions obviously here. Charlie Haas and C.W. Anderson. They beat Ace Steel and Barry Buchanan for a 48 rated match. We haven't done what these guys did at Fighting Spirit 3 in February of last year for a while. We haven't gone that high in tag team competition when the Red Alert defeated Powers of Pain, but still, maybe they'll do that as part of this second reign at some point. Who knows? So that brings us to the end of Big Night Out, and the Super Summer Tag Team Extravaganza is now in 13 days. So I think we'll roll on to that point, because there's nothing else for us to do. I don't think we need to sign anybody else. So we're going towards a Super Summer Tag Team Extravaganza, and what I will probably do is try and get both of those events, Night 1 and Night 2, into our next episode. The only potential issue that I can see is that crosses months. So for the first time ever, the 2 nights of this tournament are in different months, and that's because we shifted it all forward to make way for the RWR 100 show, which I was desperate to do. But yes, we're gonna try and do both nights of the tournament in the next episode. I mean, I could even start to book the first night now because we already are ahead of where we would like to be. And actually, I just realised that I didn't. Thrasher has sustained a herniated disc. I thought this was me bringing us back, but that looks problematic. Herniated disc does not sound like something you can just get over. He's going to work through it. 1 year or 1 month, he's going to work through it. Okay, that's up to him. And we do need him because he's going to be part of the tournament. The only thing I was thinking is this is 8 days, right? I need to give Chemo. He's still angry, so I'm going to give him another week off. And he should just be back in time for the Super Summer Tag Team Extravaganza. I mean, he's still angry, but as long as we're kind of, as I said, taking the edge off of that anger ahead of with each time we give him some time off, then we shouldn't see a situation where he walks out on us like Jim Neidhart did. I'm still a little bit gutted about that. One Man Gang's come in and he's not. He's significantly less. He has got significantly less stamina than he did when we first brought him in. I'm not saying he was going to be like able to compete in 30-minute epics or whatever, but he could at least go 9 minutes, and he can't do that now. And so he's definitely a downgrade on Jim Neidhart. But his downgrade is represented by the fact that he's a lot cheaper as well than Jim Neidhart. So, you know, take the rough with the smooth, I suppose. But yeah, the feud between One Man Gang and Batista is just not as satisfying as I think the feud between Neidhart and Batista would have been. We did have just one match between the two of them, and as I said, I was looking for a lot more, and it couldn't happen because Neidhart walked out on us. Yeah, so we are waiting for the game to process itself. Whilst we're doing that, let me thank you for tuning in and watching this. Tuning in, I don't know if that's the right terminology for YouTube, but thank you for clicking on this link and watching us. And please give a like and subscribe if you are enjoying the series, and if you haven't already subscribed, obviously. So we've got Super Summer Tag Team Extravaganza tonight. That's what's next. There's no major news here, from what I could tell. Just have a quick look at what UWA did. Another 79 rated show. Mr. Perfect Conan to retain the world title in a 79 rated match. Very good indeed. So yeah, I think we'll go and progress and start booking this. We won't obviously. Oh, we've got a backstage incident, and it's Mark Henry being amazing once again. So this is the other reason to keep Henry around, right? Is he's actually excellent for the backstage area. We're not going to actually run through this show today, but I will book it to give you a flavour of what's to come in the next episode. Obviously, tag teams are the order of the day, and it's going to be starting with Chris Harris and C.W. Anderson, our tag team champions, taking on Chemo and Billy Kidman. Obviously, these two men, Chemo and Billy Kidman, have not been happy with one another over the last few months. Indeed, Billy Kidman has got into the face of Chemo a number of times. I think what we're going to have here is 12 minutes, work the crowd. I put Chris Harris in there? I just noticed. That was wrong. Lucky I noticed that, because I've been known to do sillier things. So yeah, Red Alert versus the Rebellion. Yeah, we're going to have this one be a win for, I think we'll give it to C.W. Anderson. Loser is going to be Billy Kidman. Open match, pinfall finish. And what's going to happen here is we're going to have, I want to show some kind of, not a turn, but it's the only way I can show it in the game. We're going to have, basically what's going to happen, I'm writing it as a turn, but it's not a turn. It's just, ultimately what will happen here is that Kidman will accidentally hit Chemo in the middle of the match, and Chemo is going to walk out on Kidman. That's what's going to happen, and then leave Kidman to lose the match. And I'm going to do this. I was tempted to do it last time, but I'm going to reflect this as a story in itself, because I feel like these two have been at each other's throats for a little bit of time now, and so we're going to kind of turn this into a story. What's Billy Kidman doing? Oh yeah, of course he's in this. Do we want to remove that? No, I think we will just add chemo to this. No, you know what? I'm not going to worry about it. We didn't. Most of the story that I have in my mind for this anyway at the moment has played itself out. So I'm just going to leave it like that. No tag team titles on the line, obviously. And all that umming and ahhing has actually taken up the rest of my remaining time on this episode, so apologies for that. We will be back with the whole of the Super Summer Tag Team Extravaganza in our next episode, but until then, thank you very much for watching.